To a CNN exclusive, though, about the downing of a US fighter jet over Iran in April. Sources tell us the pilot who was rescued by special forces described a shocking sight before ejecting from the aircraft. Multiple Iranian drones hovering in the air, moving in a jellyfish formation. If accurate, it could signal a significant advance in Iran's drone warfare. I mean, what was your immediate reaction when you heard about this formation?
Well, one of the reactions that I had, Max, was that this seems to be a kind of a copy of a concept that the U.S. Air Force has had, where a manned aircraft would serve as what we in American football would call the quarterback, in other words, the central node, and then drones would be flying alongside that aircraft and would conduct separate missions as part of that. So instead of a manned aircraft serving that central node role, you have a drone, a larger drone serving that role. And that's kind of a similar architecture, but at least at first appearance, but it is basically a system that is designed to work somewhat autonomously and potentially hit multiple targets as it goes forward. The fact that it was used against an F-15 potentially is certainly a significant development, and it then begs the question whether this was something produced in Iran. I don't think so. I think it was something that came from either the Russians or the Chinese, or a combination of them. But those were some of my initial thoughts when it came to hearing this story for the first time.
There are those who have questioned it could have been a hallucination. Just explain why they're saying that.
Well, one of the things is that the pilot did suffer a concussion when he ejected from the aircraft, and he had also been one of the pilots that was shot down in a friendly fire incident over Kuwait a couple weeks before this particular incident happened. So there is a chance that there was some kind of misinterpretation, mirage, some kind of hallucination potentially that could have made him see these kind of, the pilots are, they're used to reporting what they see, and they try to be as accurate as possible when these kinds of things happen. And the debriefs after a mission are part of the U.S. Air Force intelligence posture when it comes to these kinds of events. And it's, there is, a chance that it was accurate. There's a chance, of course, that there was something else that was going on and it didn't happen. But the fact that he thought of this, and that it, that he's describing it in fairly remarkable detail, would indicate that perhaps it may have actually been something that they encountered.
And it does suggest then, if it was real, that this formation could have shot down a US Air Force jet, which is what's shocking people, isn't it? Because we're used to seeing these very cheap drones being used to sort of ram buildings, but we weren't quite aware that their technology was this advanced.
That is correct. And one of the things that you have to look at is, what kind of guidance mechanism did these drones have? Or was it something that was, controlled from the ground or from a satellite feed? And if so, why that wasn't captured by U.S. intelligence? Because the data links become important in a war like this. And if you can not only understand what the data link is, but exploit that data link, that might have prevented this from happening, assuming that was the case, that the drones shot down, or one of the drones shot down the F-15. I think what's most likely is that, let's say it did happen, that this kind of shocked the pilot, but that another missile, perhaps a ground-based missile, was used to actually conduct the shoot down. But if you're shocked like this and you see something completely unusual, you may not be paying attention to some of the other indicators that you would have in the cockpit, that there is a hostile threat coming at you. So there are a lot of different things that could have happened in this scenario.
Sources tell us the pilot who was rescued by special forces described a shocking sight before ejecting from the aircraft. Multiple Iranian drones hovering in the air, moving in a jellyfish formation. If accurate, it could signal a significant advance in Iran's drone warfare. Sources tell us The pilot who was rescued by special forces described a shocking sight before ejecting from the aircraft. Multiple Iranian drones hovering in the air, moving in a jellyfish formation. If accurate, it could signal a significant advance in Iran's drone warfare. Sources tell us the pilot who was rescued by special forces described a shocking sight before ejecting from the aircraft. Multiple Iranian drones hovering in the air, moving in a jellyfish formation. If accurate, it could signal a significant advance in Iran's drone warfare.
But as you know, we just achieved a historic peace agreement with Iran to end the conflict in the Strait of Hormuz. And by the way, yesterday, 19 million barrels of oil flowed out of the Strait of Hormuz, a very beautiful place. That's the most oil in the history of the Strait. No, it's never been any, you've never seen anything like that. It's called an oil gush. And most importantly, we are ensuring one thing very importantly, because this is why I did it. I did it for this reason, 99% for this. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that. But remember, this wasn't easy. We had 47 years worth of presidents and other people, other countries too. We're not the only one that never did anything. They were the bully of the Middle East. And now we're leaving Iran with no Navy, no Air Force, no anti-aircraft, no missile capability, no nuclear program. We're leaving them without any nuclear capacity, and they've agreed to that. And we're getting along quite well, although if you read the fake news, you never know. Think of it. But the Iran economy has been crushed, and their defense industrial base has been damaged so severely that it'll take them many years to rebuild, many, many years. And now we're trying to work out a deal that's fair. And we also want to work out a deal. You know, the stock market hit a new high today again. And oil, for the first time in months, hit, think of it, $70 a barrel. So we got it 70. That equates to a very low price. Oil is going to come charging down. And with oil comes everything else.
大家好，我是主播林家远。生活压力大，失眠、浅眠是现代人常见的烦恼。太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌现在进一步推出晚安加强版，添加天然GABA、色氨酸、茶氨酸、香蜂草4大天然草本。选择太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌，做好日常保养，身体轻松无负担。每日克菲尔，时刻美好 ，Good Feel Good。请上快点购为健康下单，输入推荐码有额外折扣。太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌基础版、晚安加强版，新包装改版，内容不变，抽取更方便。要吃就吃最好的。